everybody. Welcome back. It's our final episode this week with Ben Harper, and as you know, I'm joined here this week with Andy Ellis.
Hello, all.
And we're wrapping up our week with Ben and focusing on a different side of his musicianship, and that's him as a producer. And after we decided on this topic, I was doing some research, and I knew he was involved with the Mavis record, and I'd heard it when it came out, and it was great. But I totally missed that he produced that Natalie Maines record. You know, I didn't know that until I did my research.
It's always interesting, I think, when a musician steps into the producer role because the musician has sat on both sides of the glass, if you will.
Yeah.
And Ben addresses this, and we ask him about that. And so, without further ado,
and
let's just step right into it.
Yeah, and so we're going to hear Ben talk about it, and even he's going to talk about a lesson he learned from Natalie when it comes to slide guitar, which to me was like the highlight of the episode for me. So, so check this out. This is our last episode here with Ben Harper.
So Ben, all these years of sitting in the guitar chair, quite literally, when you're playing lap slide.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a producer. Sometimes if it's your band, you may be the producer, but you're sitting in the guitar chair and you're making the music and waiting for the external feedback when the record button is off, and how is it going, and when it flips, when you're the person now watching or listening to the artist bleed metaphorically into a microphone, you've earned the right to do this because of all the albums you've made. And at the same time, I think you probably have a deeper connection with the artist than many producers might who have never been behind the mic or who've never been in that guitar chair. Can you describe what it's like to look through the glass or stand next to the artist while they're making magic? And what do you bring to the table? How do you support them in this undertaking?
Andy, there's always that magic moment where your suggestion opens up a door for them or a window, but allows them to see something more clearly or excites them about their song. And here it makes them maybe even reimagine or help them to make a contribution as to the colors artists choose to paint with, and to have that, and to recommend a color that actually that maybe they wouldn't have thought of, but have been waiting to use.
Fuchsia, ecru.
Yeah, there it is. It's speaking of hard, thankless work, man. It is, whoa, because they're different. The challenge with producing is that it's still their vision. You still have to get out of the way, but you also sometimes have to you have to protect them from themselves too. Just like I've had to be protected from myself when I've been produced. And though even recent records, I mean, I had to start giving my band, man, they will, even the records that say produced by Ben Harper have a lot of assistance from the genius of my players in the room, which is why I started insisting on giving them production credit, because they were just adding too much to the music. And so last number of records, my band is right front and center with production credit, and engineers as well, because A, they deserve it, and B, I can't do it alone. But when I am producing, I also bring that to the table. I want to help artists produce themselves while being the producer, help them filter their ideas and bring new ideas to the table. It's super exciting, and I want to do more of it. The industry is currently devouring itself, and to make it something that is actually an affordable prospect, because it does take so much time. And there's to make a record of the standard that we require takes a little bit of dough, not a lot, but it takes a little bit. But by the time that little bit is spent, it all has to go into the music. There's no money for producers unless you're talking about the lane of pop. So but I love doing it so much. I am ready to commit a part of my life for the love of, because I've taken to producing and love it as much as writing my own songs.
Wow.
And I hope you can hear that in the Mavis record, or in the Bird Thrower record, or in a new band that got signed to the record label I'm on, Anti, called Hey King. I love it. I love to do it, and I want to do more of it.
Do you have producer heroes? Like you have guitar heroes?
I do. I love Butch Vig. I love Mitchell Froome. I love T-Bone Burnett. I love Ry Cooder. Laundry list, actually. Of course, yeah.
With somebody like Butch Vig, for example, because that one stuck out to me out of that list you said. What is it about his productions you really like?
It's the immediacy and urgency of where it's grunge rock, punk rock, but boy, is there a lot of pop and folk and other things in there, and singer songwriter, to take a genre like Mavis, where it is blues and soul, but it's also strictly folk music. It won the Folk Alliance Record of the Year. Not to brag, it did. And that was of great pride to me, because I did consider that they could hear the folk roots in that. I recently produced a record for an incredible guitar player named Christopher Paul Stelling. I mean, he is a virtuoso on the instrument.
Yeah, I think I saw him open for you once. I think you toured with him, right?
Exactly, yep. Jason, exactly. And yeah, you could call it Americana, you could call it singer-songwriter, you could call it any number of things, but it's roots folk music. But I hear things different anyway because of my upbringing. But I'm amazed that Butch could make a record like Nevermind and the Garbage records that are pop yet urgently gritty.
Mm-hmm. His drum sounds are really, really good.
And the drum sounds, you can't beat them.
Yeah, on that Garbage record, I remember Teenage Jason rocking that Garbage record, and seeing them open for Smashing Pumpkins was a pretty formative experience. But you've brought up the Mavis record a couple times, and I think a couple interesting things about that is that you produced it, but you also wrote all the songs for it.
Yeah.
So how did and on top of it all, she's a legend, was likely a big hero and influence on you before you entered into this project.
All my life.
How did a legend like that connect with you and say, Ben, not only do I want you to produce the record, but I want you to write all the songs? How did that come to pass?
I'd been serenading Mavis, from the ground atop the balcony since I've been hustling. I have been. She's known. She and I have we've been on a course to meet, if I can be so bold to say as much. Mm-hmm. But I'd be at her shows and would meet her and connect, and finally was able to contribute a song for one of her records called Love and Trust. Mm-hmm. And that song and of all the songs on the God, is that on the name of that record? I should know. I'm terrible. So you're going to kick my ass for that. One True Vine? No. Anyway, it was the song off the record that she ended up playing every night. And I think that song so made an impact on her. She just basically said, give me 10 more of those, please.
Yeah.
So the album's We Get By, and you're credited. So do you only play on that one song on the record, or do you?
Just on,
Okay.
Yep, just on Change.
Well, then there's an error in Wikipedia. Wikipedia says it's We Get By you play on.
Oh, I play on maybe the live version or something. That tends to throw. Nowadays, you play something and it ends up all over the place as if it's the version.
So Mavis just wanted, like I said, just give me 10 more. When you on the other side of that coin, in a way, you have an artist like Natalie Maines, who you produced her record, which was a real surprise to me. I had no idea there was a musical connection there.
Yeah. Oh, and before we get to that, I'll tell you what. The reason I didn't play on them, because Rick Holmstrom's such a beast. He's such an incredible guitar player that my input there wasn't needed. And the great thing about producing Natalie was she's a badass, and she just steps behind the mic, sings three takes, sings three more, and makes your life really hard because you're choosing between gold and platinum. And then as a slide guitar player getting to session on her solo record, her dad is Lloyd Maines. She's the slide guitar player's daughter.
Yeah.
My kids visited the studio session. Natalie was there. We were talking about slide guitar, and my oldest son and Natalie bonded because they both grew up with the sound of the steel guitar every day of their lives. And they had that in common. And like my son is a slide guitar player. He's a slide guitar player's son. She is a slide guitar player's daughter. Lloyd Maines is one of the best living pedal steel players. And she made me a better steel guitar player. That was part of Natalie's in this record in a way because I learned a lot from her about touch, feel, and approach.
How so?
Because Natalie interrupted what I thought I already knew, which of course at a certain age is the only way to teach motherfuckers. So she said, I want you to slide that note until you can almost not hear it. I don't want you to pluck it again. It's still giving. Don't cut off the note when it's still giving.
She knows.
It's like, well, she was so right. Because pedal, you can hit the knee lever, you can hit you're flying a helicopter down there. You can hit it, have a note. So from her years, she wasn't used to having to you can sustain an instrument different on a pedal steel than you can on a lap steel. But she said, but why not, make all attempts at sustaining that note on a lap steel as long as you can before you go to your next pluck. And it shifted my physics. I was like, I wouldn't have known. She was right.
I hear that at the end of London, for example, on your video.
Yes.
You aren't letting go. Not letting go.
No. That's right.
Because I was thinking, here's where the song ends. Thinking, normal architecture. Here's where the song ends. But Ben's face is just, it's not frozen. It's just waiting. And then I listen, and I go, he's hearing it. He's hearing it. But you had to tell me to listen because I was expecting the sort of normal da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum blink. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back tomorrow for another, No, you just wouldn't let that sucker go. I mean, into infinity.
Yeah.
And now maybe I understand a little bit of the genesis of that.
And the best part about that genesis is it's full circle. I have learned as much from the artists I've produced, especially Natalie. I got a comeuppance ass whooping singing lesson from Mavis Staples. Right?
Priceless.
I mean, yeah.
That reminds me, Ben, is years ago when I first started becoming a music journalist and I was working with Andy, he always had this phrase, and we've said this phrase to each other several times, and you talking about this brings it to mind, is that we're getting the best education that money cannot buy. Because it doesn't matter how many schools...
Tell me more.
The fact that Andy and I make a living talking to our favorite musicians and guitar players and pulling information out of them, And in a way, as a producer with Natalie and Mavis, you were on a similar thing. You would have not got those singing lessons from Mavis had you not produced that record. You could go see her 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. But until you sat in that chair with her or until Natalie told you to hold on to that note, that's something that no amount of money could have bought for you.
Right.
That's right. That's that same boat. Check out the first track on the B-side, Lebanon. Whoa. I mean, I'm holding that thing out, and I wouldn't have got there if it weren't for that. I mean, I wasn't maximizing my sustain, if you will. There was so much more to get out of the instrument.
Now, has the Monteleone given you a little more runway to work with?
Yes, it has. Yep. It's sustained in overtones, 25.5-inch scale, carved top and back. It allows you to, it brings out harmonics that I just never would have imagined existed. And you can definitely rely on them in a way. Mm-hmm.
Ben, I want to wrap up this week. We've talked about your new record a bunch in your past. What do you have coming up? We got this new record coming out in October, but past that, what do you have coming up on your schedule that people can look forward to?
I've got to decide if I'm still going to make records after this, or just do singles. You know, I mean, I still buy records. I still listen to records, past and present. But I don't know. There's nothing more frustrating than putting out a 10 or 11 song record and having 6 people hear the 9th song. It's real, and if I can't be the only one feeling that way. I think we've come full circle to the 1950s pre-LP reality.
Well, I think now videos are the new singles. I mean, I know bands like Wolfpack, they just make a video for every song.
Yeah, and video, I mean, a song's only half the song. If there's not a moving image to go with it, I wish you luck.
Yeah. Well, I hope not only do I hope live gigs are in everybody's future, but I think making a live record that includes some of this music in your Innocent Criminal set would be super hip. You're about due for a live record. You haven't put one out in a while.
Man, yeah, heck, I think Charlie Musselwhite and I have enough stockpile material to put out a live blues record that would peel paint. But I'm with you. It is some form of live record right now. Feels like because I mean, if you're going to put out a record nowadays, man, it's got to be so obvious that the songs go together, And I do believe in the LP. I believe in it, and I'm not waving a white flag by any means. I'm just I want to make a reggae record.
Ooh.
I do. I want to make a 10-song just burning reggae record. So that's exciting for me. And then, as you said, live.
Yeah, and we just lost Toots.
Yeah, that would hurt me a lot.
Man. Toots
and I would, we'd stay in touch and had a deep love for one another. And I've been going to Toots. My mom took me to see Toots when I was 10 years old at the Roxy. And the fact that I would get to collaborate with him and share the stage with him on numerous occasions he's a lifelong hero. That one really just gave me pause and sat me down.
Yeah, right. So we got live record, that reggae record, because now the Criminal's been back for a number of years now. You got enough material on the last couple records to put out a live record of a bunch of newer stuff that wasn't on Live from Mars,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. I think that's a good call. I think that's a really good idea, actually. A live Innocent Criminal record with the 4-piece, especially.
And throw some of this right in the middle. Some of this Winners for Lovers.
Yeah. Although a live Winners for Lovers could be fun. Maybe even, I don't know. I mean, Winners for Lovers is a live record.
It's pretty live.
And played it. I mean, there's no people there, but it's live recording.
Live. Yeah. It's living.
Yeah. Oh man, this is fun, you guys. I mean, I'm not I love conversing with you all about music. It's really, and if I did lean into, going overboard in any self-ingratiating way, my humble apologies. I am excited to talk about this record though. And especially with you two.
It was so much fun to catch up with you, Ben. Thanks again for taking the time, and everybody go check out Winners for Lovers, especially track 9, so that way we can get more than 6 people to listen to track 9.
Good call.
Hallelujah.
All right, Ben. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you, guys.